In implementing your merchandising plan, the key is to put what you already have to work in your store. Standard store fixtures, gondolas, and end caps can be very effective if they are in the right place and stocked with the right merchandise. Seasonal displays are eye-catching and give your store a boost in appearance and sales. They don't have to be expensive to make. With a little time, a little creativity, and items you already have, you can build a great seasonal merchandising display. Hotspots are locations in your store that receive heavy customer traffic. By analyzing customer traffic patterns, you can identify natural hotspots and use them to draw attention to specific merchandise. Remember, people don't buy what they don't see, so just pulling customer traffic through the store and past high-profit merchandise is a big step toward increasing sales. This might seem like a lot, but you can do a lot with a little. Your broom is your #1 merchandising tool. Soap and water also go a long way toward improving the image of your dealership. The most basic merchandising steps are clean up, light up, stock up. A clean, well-lit store with fully stocked shelves is appealing to customers. That, with a strong traffic pattern, is the cornerstone of any merchandising effort. Utilize the space you have effectively, and merchandising is no mystery. Once you've planned the overall layout of your store, it's time to stock the shelves and arrange the merchandise. You know how important it is to create effective displays that catch customers' attention, but you may wonder how. In this video, Kevin, an Agco parts sales manager, will show you how to put together 4 important types of displays: a gondola, an end cap, a seasonal display, and a hotspot.
Well, Harold, we've got a merchandising mess here. In fact, with an amount of merchandise like this, it's kind of intimidating just figuring out where to get started.
Yes, it is. It's very intimidating, but I know one place we can get started. Sandy, come here a minute.
Looks like you've got a new job here. It is true that in any remerchandising effort that the more hands you can get involved, the better off you are. Let's start, before we tackle this project, just thinking and reviewing some of the key elements of merchandising. Merchandising really begins with exactly what you have here: clean, well-lit, nice-looking displays. Then it's just a matter of organization. You've got to organize things in terms of product types or in terms of product families so that people can find it easily. What kind of merchandise do we have here?
Oh, Kevin, we got some lights, we got some grease, you got paint there in your hand.
Okay, we've got some lighting displays. It goes this way. Excellent. So we've got a little bit of everything, don't we? I guess, again, one thing to keep in mind is its organization. And so as we think about that, we've got some paint. We could develop just one display just on paint with some of these larger gallon jugs and so forth. We could probably do another complete display with lights. Would you agree? And then perhaps there's another display for oil and grease.
Mm-hmm.
Once we have that organization in place, the next thing to consider is, where do we place these things on the shelf? What have I always told you about belt to eye level?
Eye level's by level, Kevin.
Exactly. So from here up is going to be your most valuable merchandising space. You're going to want to keep that in mind as you create the actual display. Another real key element of merchandising is what we call the sampling technique.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing more than what we've done, just placing one of each item on the shelf to see how much room it takes before we get all the product on the shelves and have to recreate it. So with that, Harold, why don't you take this grease and get started with a grease and oil display over there, and Sandy and I'll work here to create this display.
All right, splitting up, we'll have this place remerchandised in no time.
You bet. Before we can stock the shelves, we need to begin by organizing the merchandise. So let's start by piling the merchandise up in front of the shelves that we think it might belong on.
Why don't we put the lights on the larger shelf? We seem to have more of them.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's put the lights over there and the paint here. I'll tell you what, if you want to get started on that, I'll take this grease over to Harold and see how he's coming with his display.
Okay.
Hi, Harold. I brought some of this grease over here that belongs in your display. Looks like you're using the sampling technique, huh, to kind of get things situated and see how they look. Tell me what you've got going here.
Well, I'm using the sampling technique. I'm getting some looks going, and I'm trying to get that vertical look.
Okay, vertical merchandising is good. I think one thing I might suggest is that we just complete this shelf with the 2.5-gallon jugs, and we can still do some framing in terms of how wide the jugs are. Maybe we could move the grease up here and then complete the top shelf with a grease display. You may not want quite as many facings. Since we will have less room there, we'll have fewer facings of that high temp grease. And you know, something else that I might try, why don't you try doing that?
All right, I'll give that a try, Kevin.
Okay. Now that we have all the paint organized in terms of the size and color, it's time to start placing it on the shelf. I see you have it all priced already, so that's great. How do you normally organize the paint display?
I would start with the larger cans on the bottom and work my way up to the spray cans.
That's great. Let's do that for just a minute, and we can start with the thinner and the larger gallon jugs here on the bottom and place a couple of jugs up here. You know, one of the things that I like to do when it comes to merchandising, as I mentioned before, is the sampling technique, where you literally just put one of each product on the shelf so that you get a sense of what it looks like before you really start seeing you know, all the product on the shelf together. One of the real decisions that you have in merchandise is how many facings to create. In other words, how many of each color to place up here on the shelf. And certainly that's affected by how much product you have, number one, and number two, what products you want to sell. So for instance, if we want to sell more gloss black, we want to create a more powerful merchandising display and just have more facings of the gloss black than anything else on the display itself. Let's continue and just with the sampling technique, put a few of each item on the shelf and see what it looks like.
Okay.
Wow, Sandy, it looks like you've made some real progress there.
Thank you.
I like the way you've organized those lights. You've almost created some separate categories using what in merchandising is called the framing technique, and that really makes that display look great. Let's take a look at these paint cans here. I guess as we discussed, you used the gallon jugs on bottom and then worked up to these spray cans. You know, one thing I might suggest is that on this shelf, since we have some extra space here, we take and place our extra cans right here. Exactly, just like that. And that will create actually a more powerful display. When you see the entire display like that, it will create a more powerful visual effect. The other thing that I might suggest, now we've got two different colors of orange, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, is that why you separated them on separate shelves?
Yes.
That's a great idea. One thing that I might suggest, though, is that we simply move these over, okay, and actually create a vertical line, a vertical merchandising line, if you will, so that we see these oranges together. And then maybe we'll use some shelf talkers or something like that to say Persian orange and corporate orange so people know the difference.
Okay.
Well, gosh, I think we're ready to just start stocking the shelves. Wow, Harold, your display really turned out well.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm really proud of the display. I've put the little shelf talkers on each item, and I've even priced every one of them.
That's great. And I really like the way you've got the lubricants up here in terms of a header sign so people can see that from across the store. You've used some good common sense in keeping the heavy items towards the bottom so they don't have trouble lifting the big 2.5-gallon jugs, you know, off the top shelf, and that makes a lot of sense. The real challenge is keeping it looking this nice.
Absolutely.
You know, the two biggest keys, in my opinion, are keeping it clean and keeping the merchandise fronted.
What do you mean fronted, Kevin?
Well, as people buy merchandise and you have holes here, just bring the merchandise to the front of the shelves and keep it looking full.
I think that's something that we can do very easily.
You bet. Well, you've done an excellent job here.
Thank you again.
Well, I think we're finished, Sandy. What do you think?
I think that looks real nice.
You bet. I think the display turned out well. We have remembered the belt to eye level rule. We've incorporated some color in our display, and we've organized it such that we've created some real nice vertical displays with the same colors. Really all that's left is some shelf talkers and some header signs.
Well, I have a couple shelf talkers here, and the header signs are over on the counter.
Okay, great. We'll get the paint products right here. People can find their way around when they're looking for paint. And place this other electrical component sign right over here. What do you have cooking here, Harold?
I got a pressure washer display I'm building, Kevin. I put this little one up here and I got a little price on it, but I don't know what else to do with it.
Well, you could stop and think just a minute about what people normally use when they purchase a pressure washer. What other kind of related items do you sell?
Heavy-duty degreaser and power cleaner.
You bet. Maybe we could put a couple of jugs of those up here, and who knows, a larger pressure washer wouldn't be a bad idea down on this bottom shelf.
Well, let's look in the back and see what we got.
Great. Well, Harold, what do you think?
I think it's a great display, Kevin. From what we originally started with just having the pressure washer here on the shelf with a little shelf talker, it looks a lot better. We've got a theme going here with related items.
You
We
bet.
put the heavy-duty degreaser here, we framed it, we faced it, and we fronted it. We've got everything going there. We've got the nice big pressure washer here in the bottom with some other related items. You hung the brochure here for me so our customers can see what other things we've offered, and we've also put a feature benefit sign here, and we've got the lances for both pressure washers in the back so the customer can see the complete package on this end cap.
Exactly. It's a real complete, impressive end cap. And you know what? You don't necessarily have to have multiple products on an end cap. Just like you did on your lubricant display, you can have just one product, oil. But make certain that the shelves are fully stocked. Make sure to front the merchandise just like we do in normal merchandise displays, and sign the merchandise well.
Absolutely, and with the oil end caps I used two. One where we had on the shelves it was very simple and looked like a classic end cap with the proper signage, and then the second one where I just took 5-gallon buckets, I built a pyramid and put a sign on that, and I had no fixture cost whatsoever. It was very cost efficient.
You know, that's a great example that with a little creativity, you don't need a lot in terms of facilities. You can build some end caps and some powerful visual displays just by using the product you have laying around the store.
Absolutely.
You know, the three key things to remember with end caps is number one, keep it fully stocked. Make sure you have plenty of product on the end cap at all times. Secondly, keep it clean. Third, keep it well signed. And if you follow those three rules and remember to change it every now and again, Harold, you'll find that you'll have a lot of success with your end cap displays.
I think you're right, Kevin. Kevin, what do you think of my seasonal display?
What do you mean seasonal display, Harold?
Well, Kevin, it's winter. It's fix-up time. I got my engine overhaul kits out and I put a sign on it.
Well, that's not a bad start. I mean, at least you've got a product out on the shelves and it's right here in the power aisle where people will see it. But you know, I think with a little creativity, we can even do better than this.
Creativity, Kevin? This is pretty creative. Most people have them in their back room.
You're right about that, and I compliment you for even dragging them out here this time of year. Who knows, customer might see that, and again, it's something they would be interested in. But what I'm thinking, Harold, is maybe we can do something creative with some shelving here. Say, for instance, we take this box off, stack both boxes on the bottom shelf, put a shelf up here, and maybe even throw some parts out on the shelf, or do something like that. What do you think?
Well, once again, your thinking means more work for me, but I'm willing to give it a try. Let's use the bottom kit and we'll put it on a shelf.
I'll help you.
Well, what do we do now, Kevin? We got this stuff out of the box.
Well, let's begin by cleaning things up a little bit. Let me clean the shelf up, and then maybe you can just take and set some of those up here on that shelf. Just arrange them however you want to. A lot of times people like to, to stop and pick some things up and kind of look around at some things. And I'll clean this box up a little bit. It looks like it's got a little dusty out there in the storeroom, huh?
Well, at least we brought it out of the storeroom, Kevin.
Well, and that's a major advantage as compared to a lot of other dealerships I'm in. People can't buy what they can't see. You know how that goes.
That's true.
I'm thinking that we might even be able to do some more things. You've got the big header up here, but we could make some more signs to draw their attention, maybe some feature benefit type signs. The other thing we might be able to do, aren't there some things in that preventive service ad kit that I'd sent you?
Yeah, I guess we could put some more stuff out here, Kevin, but boy, we've done an awful lot.
I know, and all we're trying to do is draw people's attention to this display so that they stop and think about it, okay? Let's go back in the back and see what else we can find.
Okay. Kevin, you didn't like my seasonal display from the start, and I'll agree, putting the parts out did help it. I see you've brought some other stuff out. What are you going to make me do now?
Well, what I thought is we could include some of these signs to just dress it up a little bit more. Again, I like your header here because it tells customers from clear across the store what's over in this area. But once they get here, they need some more help, Harold, in identifying what it is and how much it costs. So this bright orange sign, again, says that we're selling engine overhaul kits. Again, it's a silent seller, right?
And not a bad idea, Kevin. You've even put some features and benefits right on there also.
You bet. Some key features so they can read those, and the critical element is the price. They're going to want to know how much this costs, and as good as your display was before, people want to know how much it costs. The other thing that we can do, you know, a lot of people really get into free giveaways, okay? And so what I thought we would do is just by making up a little sign here that says free cap and incorporating it into some of this preventive service stuff.
Wait a minute, Kevin. I see you got the free cap that you guys from the company are giving away on the preventive service program. But what are the metal things? Is that for your shock therapy treatment?
Well, actually, those are antennas, okay, for my cellular phone that's incorporated in this cap. No, seriously, Harold. What it is just a couple of paper clips, and I thought instead of setting it on the display, why not hang it? Again, we've got belt to eye level, right, being the most crucial merchandising space in a store, and that's where people are going to look. So if we take and just set these things into the holes here, and set this up maybe even here. See what this looks like.
That's not too bad. Anybody in my parts department could do that.
You bet. That's really simple. The other thing that I brought out, as you may have noticed, was the preventive service brochure. It's nice, if you can, to tie some seasonal displays into either a direct mail campaign or some literature that customers can pick up and take home with them.
Excellent. Well, Kevin, I guess this is all right. You're not going to make me put anything else on here, are you?
I have one more surprise.
No.
Yeah, one more surprise. Again, we're trying to gather attention and grab people's interest over here. So I have an idea. Since we're close to Christmas, right? Close to New Year's, and what do people do at New Year's?
I don't know.
Party. They make New Year's resolutions. Watch this. I made up a sign, Harold. Okay? It says this: do you have a New Year's resolution? Put your engine in tip-top shape before spring. Again, some color, right? A little signage. It's something new, it's something different, and really what we're all about is trying to attract people's attention and get them over here to see the seasonal display.
And I guess with seasonal displays, it's probably like end caps. I need to rotate them often.
You bet. And what else?
I need to keep them clean.
Yes.
And I need to always make sure that the product is fresh, priced, and I've got some attention grabbers thanks to you.
You bet. I think you've got it, Harold. Just use some creativity, and it's amazing what you can do in your store.
Okay.
And remember, seasonal displays are not just appropriate around holidays. They're appropriate at any time of the year. Take, for instance, harvest time or planting time. You can construct displays that say harvest time special. What your real intent is to bring customers into the store, give them something that attracts their attention and brings them over to a specific part of your store, and get merchandise out in front of them where it's easy to buy. Does that make sense?
It's starting to make a little more sense to me now, Kevin. I can even think of days that I can use it, like at the county fair, at the bull sale, or anything like that.
You bet. You can have some fun with it, get creative with it. You might even want to have your parts department employees set up a little contest every couple of months or 4 times a year as who can come up with the most creative brainstorm for a seasonal display. Make it fun to come in and shop at your dealership.
It's a good idea, Kevin.
Harold, your counter is one of the hottest spots in your store.
What do you mean by hot spots, Kevin?
A hotspot is any place that customers congregate around, or places that draw customers. And since this counter is a place that customers come and sit and wait for a part, it's an ideal place to display some merchandise.
You mean like those impulse items you've told me about?
Exactly. Some type of impulse purchases that people can sit here and remember they need. Or another great option is some high margin type options, or merchandise I should say, that you can display on the counter. That might be a great option to fill the counter up and give customers something to buy.
That's not a bad idea. Why don't we go in the back and see if there's some product that we can put out on the counter?
I'm sure we can find something. Harold, this starting fluid is an excellent choice for a hotspot display. It's competitively priced, and we know all farmers can use a can of starting fluid.
Thank you, Kevin, and it was simple to make too.
That's great. What made you choose to create a display with those spotlights?
Well, creates a little excitement and motion right here at the counter for people to play with. Plus, I make high margin on this product.
That's great. I noticed you also pulled your preventive service display out of your ad kit.
Yeah, we've had a lot of customers already ask us about this. It's working great.
That's good. Well, you've really improved the utilization of your counter space, one of the key hotspots in your store. But in addition to natural hotspots like this one, you can actually create hotspots in your store just by your store layout. Let's go over to the coffee pot and take a look at one of the other hotspots in the store.
All right.
By placing the coffee pot back here, you've created another excellent hotspot and a great place for impulse merchandise.
Thank you, Kevin, and that's why we put the spinner rack here. When it's full at the counter, it gives our customers something to do, and they can pull parts off of here real easily.
You bet.
And we even individually priced every packet hanging on here.
You've also done a nice job, I can see, just in terms of framing the merchandise so it looks good, and obviously use some nice color that adds a lot to the display. You know, my experience, Harold, is that if these things aren't on a spinner rack or some type of wall display out somewhere, people just don't buy this stuff.
I think you're right.
Signage is an important element of every merchandising display. Signage in the windows and on your door tells customers when you're open and what products you sell. Departmental signs inside the store help direct customers to the products they came to buy. Shelf talkers help customers locate the specific type or size of product they need. Feature benefit signs can also be incorporated into your displays. These signs serve as silent salespeople by making customers aware of the specific features and benefits of a product. Signs should also be used to price merchandise. In some instances, you may want to include the price on shelf talkers. In other cases, you may wish to price merchandise individually with price stickers. Special signs can be created to draw attention to a particular product or display. Some fill-in-the-blank signs are included in your Agco advertising kit. With a little creativity, you can also develop specialty signs to attract customers' interest. Remember to use words such as special or discount and bright colors to appeal to your customers. Whatever your goal for a display, whatever you have to work with, the keys to successful merchandising are the same. Remember the strike zone. Keep merchandise at a height between the customer's belt to eye level. Test your display ideas with the sampling technique. Frame the merchandise on the shelf. Stock each shelf fully once you've settled on the display. Use clear signage, both for departments and for individual products. Keep displays looking clean and fresh. Dust and sweep regularly. With these few tips in mind, you can upgrade your dealership's merchandising effort without a big investment. And it doesn't have to be done all at once. Try small improvements first. During your next slow sales day, take the time to clean your store or create a new display. You may be surprised how many customers notice the difference. And keep this tape handy and review the appropriate segment when you're ready to develop a new display.